This generation under so much pressure, held to a standard impossible to measure. Without guidance, they suffer. No father in sight, no love from their mother. Not the pen for the one in the mirror. Self-image distorted, can't get no clearer. Damn, lost soul devoured by the streets. Ain't no fairy tales or yellow bricks by their feet. Only crack valves and shell casings. Looking for hope, but they still waiting. And I implore you to never give up. And like Pac said, keep your head up, and when your back's up against the wall, keep your boots to the ground and stand tall. Hold on and be strong and go against all odds, and keep your faith in God.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Liberated Mind Show. My name is Kay. That's Jay, and today we're talking about the NFL, and also we'll speak a little bit about Kanye West. And we just want to, dwell on what's going on, what's different about the NFL this year. So James, take it away from there.
Yeah, definitely, man. Let's dive right in. All right. First question is, why do you think it's so difficult to get African people in America to not tune into the NFL in complete unison?
I think people are just comfortable, and entertainment over anything. Entertainment over sacrifice, entertainment over being uncomfortable. That's what I mean by entertainment over anything. And I just feel as though they feel as though, you know what? I work Monday through Friday. Saturday, I got to run errands. Sunday's my relaxed day, and I love football. So they want to sit home and watch football. Or I've also heard me not watching it ain't going to stop it. They still going to be playing. So when you have the excuses there, I seriously believe they convinced themselves, hey, it's okay to watch because guess what? These players out there, they look like me. If I don't watch, they don't get paid. There's plenty of excuses you can come up with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, you just go down a list of excuses. Eventually, you won't feel guilty. You won't feel guilty. The first 3 to 4 weeks back in, 16 or 2017?
Mm-hmm.
When I stopped watching it. First, I didn't join a what's it called? Fantasy football. I didn't join a fantasy football group. So that made it even easier. And then, like I said, as each week went by, I thought less and less, especially if you keep yourself busy. If you're not home watching TV, it became easier. And then also, aside from that, the main thing was I know why I was protesting. It was based upon the support of what Kaepernick was looking out for us. And I think that's what people just need to sometimes get the gist of. Is this to benefit me? Or is this just something I'm just picking up arbitrarily? We know it's to benefit not only me, but it's to benefit people that look like me in situations, because he was protesting police brutality at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it affects us. Therefore, we need to send a message that's loud and clear. So I feel as though the main reason why our people have such a hard time in boycotting, even till today, is they feel as though it's almost like a vote. They vote won't count. I honestly think that's the biggest thing, along with, hell, I just like football and I'm going to watch my football.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on it?
I just think it's a sense of not caring. Like, because they feel that, for one, it may be that they believe police brutality hasn't impacted them directly. They've never experienced it. So they feel like, oh, I've never experienced it, so it doesn't matter to me. And two, they don't have to deal with what Kaepernick's going through right now, being whiteballed from the NFL. So they're like, oh, well, he chose to do that. And if it was me, I wouldn't have threw my career away. There's people like that don't see the bigger picture. And if you don't see the bigger picture, you're not going to get it. And you're not going to want to participate for something that's bigger than yourself. So that's what I think it comes down to.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You said as far as Kaepernick, they look at it as it was his objective, but at the same time, that was an excuse we always heard. It's like he's no longer a good quarterback, and he was just doing it to keep a job, more or less. He was just making noise as a distraction because he knew he wasn't gonna get another contract. Or they'll say he opted out of his contract. They were offering him money, but he didn't want it. He thinks he's worth more than he is on the football field. So I just feel as though people, it's funny how people will say they don't empathize with millionaires, because that's what I was hearing. He's a millionaire. But then at the same time, you're empathizing with billionaires at that point if you're not in support of him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think like what you said as far as not caring, I think that's exactly what it is, because you're just coming up with an excuse, and at the end of the day, you don't care. There's people that's always like that. If it doesn't directly impact them, hey, I've never been shot, so why should I care? Or they'll be like, oh, I've never been arrested. That's nothing that concerns me. But like I always tell people, I said, you never know. Tomorrow that could be you. And it's that random. You don't necessarily have to be somebody into the illegal activity to have an encounter with a police officer. You could just be in the car not going fast enough. You know what I mean? Or you just fit the description. This is how these encounters occur.
Exactly.
So that's why attention needs to be brought to it. And I feel as though that is why we need to support. And you know what? Before we go on to the next question, I just feel as though I think there's more pressure on us as fans versus his coworkers. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the NBA, look at what the NBA did. They did something unprecedented. Playoff games, Milwaukee Bucks decided to walk out on. They didn't play a playoff game. So yeah, like with the NBA, you had the teammates that went out of their way to support one another. I feel as though the NFL players need to hold that responsibility as well. So I feel as though if more of the NFL players would have said, you know what, we stand by this man. What he's saying ain't false. We've lived it. There's literally people in the NFL that's lived through the brutality in which Colin Kaepernick is protesting. But there were some detractors who wanted to say he wasn't raised in a certain neighborhood. He wasn't raised by an African family. He was raised by a European or a white family. He was raised by them. Therefore, how can he relate to somebody being brought up in a impoverished situation that would deal with that, you know, on a daily? And I think there was too many distractors being thrown out there to get your attention on everything but the subject at hand. So it's, yeah, like I said, I feel as though, okay, I mean, I've had the argument, it's still up for debate in my opinion. Yeah, the fans is what generates the millions and billions of dollars for these professional athletes. But at the same time, we saw an immediate response when NBA players decided, hey, we ain't playing tonight. And it actually trickled into other sports, even hockey. I was surprised. Baseball, hockey. And where we're not even the majority, but it's like, all right, that was that extension of brotherhood within sports to where they said, you know what, let's do it like this. So you could see it as them standing in unison, or you could just see it as another way of pandering. Like a few months ago, even people's workplaces, everyone got a Black Lives Matter sign. That was at the height of the George Floyd murder back in May. Fast forward to September, Where's that energy? You know what I mean? It was the trend. It was the trendy thing to do at the time. So right now, what we're seeing is maybe it's a trend, but like I said, this boycott message has been going on for 4 years now. So I'm hoping that the athletes themselves, we've seen the bargaining agreements that they've made with the player association and them allowing them to put Black Lives Matter on the helmets or victims of police brutality on the helmets. But like I said, all of that's cute. But at the same time, we need action behind it. And financially, that's the only way I see as this making more progress into stopping police brutality.
Like Brother Kaepernick, he been putting his money where his mouth is for the past 4 years.
No doubt. Donating suits, we've seen it. And that was another thing people were talking about is when he settled. I'll admit I wasn't too happy, especially not knowing the details of the settlement. But at the same time, I've seen his Know Your Rights campaign. I know what it stands for. I've seen him literally donate his closet to homeless people or those needing jobs to go on a job interview. His suits. Yeah, people made jokes like, all right, how many people is his size? But this shit can be tailored. Come on.
Yeah.
But it's like, you have this man who literally, he woke up one day and said enough is enough. And that has been his agenda. The only time I was upset with him since this stance was, I wasn't as upset as his settlement. It was when he went and auditioned for them again. I felt as though if he wanted to, here's my criticism. I felt as though if he wanted to play in the NFL again, he should have, I understand his defense mechanisms he put up in place. I understand that. But I felt as though, hey, I don't think he should have pulled that audible at the last second. Because I think they were going to give him a job just to say they gave him a job and a team was going to cut him. But like I said, that's the only time I was just like, oh, man, I don't agree with that move.
See, with that, though, it wasn't him making the move last second. It was the NFL. They sent him that waiver thing at the last second.
Yeah,
where he pretty much had to sign his rights away. So that even if they didn't sign him to a contract, the fact that they gave him opportunity, he couldn't pursue any kind of legal action. So they did that. Plus, they had it on a Saturday where no coaches was really going to be available. So what he did, or my opinion of it, is that he strategically moved it to somewhere where the press would be allowed, because that was another thing. They wasn't going to allow no press in there. So he moved it so the press would be allowed, so he could put on the show to show that he still belongs in the NFL.
Right.
So his move was very strategic, and it was very smart because he took the power out of the NFL hands and he put his skill on display to prove a point that he wasn't being whiteballed because he couldn't play. He was being whiteballed because he took a stance.
That's true.
Yeah, I didn't like when they said that he was auditioning for them. I didn't like it at first either, but then the way it played out, I ended up liking how it went, because I'm like, they was trying to back him to a corner where he would have been screwed. So if he would have signed that waiver, right, he would have did this audition. No cameras would have been allowed. So then
he could have brought in his own, right?
Yeah, so they would have came out and said, "Oh, he did horrible, so no team wants him." They could have controlled the narrative and everything, and then they would have been like, "See, he wasn't good," and we would have had no footage of it or anything.
Right. That's true. Yeah, when you break it down like that, yeah, I can see it in hindsight. So you know what? Maybe I should have worded that from at the time.
Yeah, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that beforehand, I felt away too, because I'm like, nah, you shouldn't have to do this because
Right.
it's quarterbacks with less skills than you that's on the team right now.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to do it because, like, even though I wasn't watching it, you know, people post stuff on social media and it'd be like, yeah, this quarterback got signed, and then you see the comments underneath and they be coming at him. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, if that quarterback's that bad, why didn't they sign Colin? But we all know the answer to that.
Yep. Indeed.
All right. So the next question is, what's your perspective on the large scale propaganda going on in the NFL and the hollow apology to Brother Kaepernick by Roger Goodell?
I think it's just save face as far as, all right, we know we screwed up. It's pretty evident, if it wasn't before, that there is a problem with police brutality and disproportionately involving us. There's a problem there, and he was absolutely correct. And I think, like I said, Roger Goodell, seeing the way that the NBA handled it, my personal opinion, I've always felt NBA players are more solid than NFL players. There's a number of reasons, but I just feel as though it's just to save face, and it was a business thing. Which, as I'm speaking now, I'm wondering how much has our boycott messed with their bottom line, because there has to be a reason why they're doing that. Yeah, you had a few players that were upset, like the homie down in New Orleans. Now he was in Philly. What's the corner's name? You know what I'm talking about? He's part of the NFL. He's like on the board of the player association. Who he met with, I forget his name, but he's a corner.
No,
and
I'm not sure.
He's the one that took the deal.
Oh, you talking about? I do not remember him. Oh, I can't stand him. Malcolm Jenkins.
Malcolm Jenkins. I'm on the fence with him still. I think he has those intentions. He does a lot of philanthropy for the neighborhoods. He was doing a lot up here when he was in Philly too, and I know he had a good reputation in New Orleans. So I just think that he took that deal. I think he jumped at it too quick.
Yeah.
I think at the same time he wanted to just get it over with, but I think he had good intentions, and he's redeeming himself because he's made a couple power moves, in my opinion, since then. But I feel as though the NFL was it was affecting their bottom line. I think you had some disgruntled players as well saying, "Yo, this ain't right," and especially when it hit home. We saw how Steven Jackson in the NBA basically grew up with George Floyd. Now, what are the odds of a professional athlete's childhood friend / brother falling at the hands of what Colin Kaepernick was protesting? There's more players in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So it's right around the corner. Unfortunately, it's gonna happen. It could even be an NFL player on a current roster that police brutality may take someone's life, or they're just gonna feel that effect of police brutality. So the NFL, they can no longer play naive to it. I felt as though they just did it to save face at the end of the day and just say, oh, look, we rectified our mistake. Can you guys stand up now? And when that didn't work, because they tried that, then they came out with this bright idea of going out, linking up arms. I said, this is corny. Then you still had Jerry Jones talking about, oh, my players ain't going to kneel. And then they came up with something to, all right, we'll kneel before the national anthem. And it's like, it's all these little props and games being played. But at the end of the day, it's all taking focus off what the initial issue was. But yeah, now you have them coming out of their pockets, donating X amount of dollars per season to these organizations that in these neighborhoods and local neighborhoods that have been, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it, but basically that's been affected by all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it would have been best day one Colin Kaepernick said this. I'm pretty sure this is what Roger Goodell's thinking. He regrets it. He's like, you know what? Maybe if I would have just told the news reporters, ignore him, it probably would have went under the radar. Because remember, originally it was under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
He was sitting down, minding his business. And he said, no, I can't stand for a flag that promised X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't include everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then that whole narrative got changed into some attack on the military, because we know these patriots, aka bigots, because that's all they are.
Mm-hmm.
These bigots made enough noise to where Roger Goodell and his buddies, he's like, come on, you ain't gonna let these, as they say, you're not gonna let the prisoners run the asylum. That's how they refer to it. Or they need to shut up and play ball. So
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk all day on that, but yeah, it's just, I think they look very desperate, even to the fact that now the national Black anthem is being played prior to the national anthem of the United States. He's just propagating for what? I mean, you're doing all of this, and is that resolving the issue at hand?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're just trying to make one segment of your audience happy and the other segment of your audience happy.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know. Is that answering that question?
No, yeah, it's definitely answering. Yeah, I agree, because it's like they're backtracking on their previous propaganda, which was when they was getting paid by the military to play the national anthem, because before that, the national anthem wasn't even played. Because I think we discussed this before, that the national anthem is usually played at the Olympics, something whereas the countries are going against each other in athletic events. Like, it doesn't make no sense to play the national anthem in the sport that's taking place in this country.
It does.
Like, what is it? What is it proving? Like, and then to find out you only playing it because you're getting whatever amount of dollars to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, y'all not even following the rules of the flag when y'all bring them big ass flags out and have everybody carrying them, because there's certain rules that you're supposed to go by, or it's considered desecration of a flag.
You gotta treat it as. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like you
Pay patriotism, like what you're saying.
Yeah, pay patriotism.
And military enrollment was low. So that's why the military said, hey, we know where we can get our demographic watches football.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's all propaganda, man. Then now it's like you have Roger Goodell. He gives a hollow apology because he says that he should have listened to Colin Kaepernick. No, he said maybe I should have listened to Colin Kaepernick.
Maybe.
Yeah, like he still wasn't really trying to give him no kind of credit for being, trying to put a spotlight on something. So he said maybe we should have listened or whatever. But it's like now it's like what you were saying. He's kind of following in the footsteps of what the NBA has been doing and stuff like that. Like it's nothing genuine. You can't look at this guy, the guy that used Jay-Z as a prop in the room to be speaking and saying, "Oh, we're past kneeling." Like he set all that up. He's the figure, and he was just sitting there laughing. I'm like, you look just like a slave owner in there, laughing because your good slave is speaking so good on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like the NFL is just they ramped up their propaganda. Like they're going along with everything. Like, yeah, you can do that. You can put whatever on your helmet. Yeah, go along, just do it. Because we're trying to get pull these people back in. But it's like people like you and I, we hip to the game. Like it ain't you can't sell us short and expect us just to jump back in. Be like, nah. Like as far as I'm concerned personally, I'm never watching NFL again. And I'm okay with it. Because I've after I witnessed what they did to Brother Kaepernick, I can't bring myself to watch it. Like is no way I can watch it. And then it's gonna be people that say, well, what about the NBA? What they did to Craig Hodges and what's the guy name from the Nuggets?
Abdul,
Abdul. Yeah, like, and I'm like, yeah, that happened, but like, first of all, it's a different commissioner now. And when that went down, I was younger, so I didn't really know what was going on. Like, this happened like recently, and I was fully aware of what was going on. So it's like, and the person that's responsible for it and all the owners are still there, allowing it to perpetuate because he's still of age where he can play. So the fact that it's still ongoing, and then there's people in our community that still runs to watch this every Sunday is disheartening. But it's like they falling right in for the propaganda, and they getting to witness it. And then some people that's looking at it like, oh, they're doing so much for us.
like, what's funny to me is I don't remember if you remember the controversy. I haven't bought a Madden game, and I love Madden, man. I haven't bought any John Madden football since I stopped watching football. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I remember the controversy was, I believe it was last season. Would that have been Madden 20, I guess? With it was a Big Sean lyric, and he mentioned Kaepernick, but they muted that out on the video game.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And lo and behold, a year later, last week, there was an update to the new Madden 21. Kaepernick's a free agent. He's in the video game again. First time in 4 years.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like,
So,
okay.
all this is, Madden is a NFL licensed game. So Goodell was pulling that shot too.
Mm-hmm.
So all traces of him was eliminated. Because even if he wasn't on the team, he was still technically a free agent. He didn't retire.
Mm-hmm.
So he should have been available in each of the years leading up to now, regardless.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm just pointing out how Goodell was just trying to save face. But another thing, let's not lose focus, though, because I think this is also something that we could fall into the trap of. All right, so if Kaepernick's supposed to, let's say Kaepernick gets picked up by a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your stance then?
I'm still not gonna watch it.
Okay.
I'm still not gonna watch it because I'm like, it's been done already, and the people that did it are still in power. So it's like, if they let him back in the league, it's for a reason. It's ulterior motives to it.
Okay, so this is where I'm gonna play devil's advocate. So it's like, all right, was this about police brutality or was this about Cap in a job? Because that's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
So if we make the sole focus about Colin Kaepernick getting his job back, which that honestly, in me watching, it wasn't necessarily, I didn't feel as though he needed to be back in the NFL. I just felt he made a statement, and I was upset that they punished him for making that statement.
Yeah, that's what my stance is. My stance was always, they punished him for bringing light, using his platform to bring light to an issue that's really affecting us. So for him to lose his job behind that, I felt that was wrong. But I never was boycotting because I wanted him to get his job back. I was boycotting because they proved that they don't give a damn about us and our issues.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up being a scapegoat because he took a knee for our community. And I don't think that people see that picture like that. People don't realize that he took a knee for us.
Right. So now, all right, I'm still playing devil's advocate, all right? So now, you made a statement saying that the people in power are still in power. You ain't fooling with it. So, what would it take for the NFL to win you back as a fan?
Um, honestly, I don't even know. It might had to be like an overhaul. Like Goodell had to be gone. Um, all the owners that were involved in that settlement in the Kaepernick case, that they had to admit guilt because there wouldn't have been a settlement without the admission of guilt. So all those owners that was involved in the whole conspiracy to keep him out of the league, they all had to be gone, and there would have to be a change to the bylaws to not to make it a stern thing where owners can't punish players for taking a stance like that, as long as it's not harming anybody or doing anything in a negative light. They shouldn't be able to take a stance like that to take a job away from somebody when you got people in the league that's rapists and that them beat their wife up and stuff like that.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I was just curious because some people would say, well, hey, mission accomplished. Look at how much money the NFL is putting out now compared to 4 years ago to foundations that deal with the subject at hand. Like, isn't it mission accomplished is what he was protesting? Because there's a lot of light on it now. And anytime any of these situations occur where a brother or sister is killed at the hands of police officer, they're unarmed and they're killed, Colin Kaepernick's one of the first people that come up in the discussion. See, this is what Cap brought up. So it's like, is it mission accomplished for Colin Kaepernick? And is that what Jay-Z meant by, hey, we're past kneeling now? As far as we're talking money now.
No, we can't be past bringing light to it because it's still going on. Like, it didn't stop.
Right, but he brought light to it.
He brought light to it, but he brought light to it with the intention of making change, of making it stop. It seems like it's actually gotten worse because people got mad. They got, like, officers were mad because he was taking the knee about it. Then I seen a video the other day, cops were quitting. They quit at one department because they couldn't do chokeholds anymore. They was throwing their badges down. So I'm like, police brutality is a part of their DNA. Like, cops want to do that. And it's like, I was watching the what show was it? The 5150 show the other day. And they had a brother, I think his name was DeJuan on there, and he was talking about the Compton PD and how I think over the last 20 years, 20, 30 years, they've had to disband and fire a lot of officers because they had gangs within that department, racist gangs. I think the latest one he said was like the Banditos. It was I can't remember all the names, but there were gangs within this department, and what they would do is they would brag about how many Africans in America that they then brutalized or arrested. And then it was one of the gangs, I think, what they called the Knights. It was some, but they would have a tattoo party every time they killed a black person. So it's like, if you got people in the police departments like this that's being hired and they're out there doing their job, and it kind of seems like this is part of the DNA of the cops, shining light on the issue is only a part of the solution. But then when you got cops investigating cops? How you gonna ever really solve something?
It's in the DNA of policing. All they are is an evolution of the slave patrol, which was put together to keep runaways in check. Once they considered a runaway, an enslaved African, once they started to emancipate enslaved Africans, these people were just put in there to keep us in check. So it's like, I believe you would have to come up with a whole nother job title.
Mm-hmm.
With the sole purpose, if it's to protect and serve, it's not to protect and serve some. It would have to be all, and then the consequences for not doing so would have to be so severe that those races wouldn't want to risk it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think it's, I'm glad we're talking on this. I think it's outside of, this is definitely a discussion outside of the NFL, but what we've learned from the NFL is that it took professional sports to put a spotlight on this, because other than that, where else are you getting the attention of these races? Where, what other forum can we go to and say, hey, look over here? You understand?
Yeah.
So it literally took us to screw up what they love in order for them to listen to us. That's what makes them angry. And this goes back to our original point as to why we need to support, the whole boycotting of, it doesn't even need to stop at sports. It could just be certain channels, period. Once we find out who owns these channels, Viacoms, etc., Vanguard, you find out who owns it and what. If you find out the history of Vanguard, then you'll be sitting back thinking, wow, what else am I, the legacy? What else am I contributing to the legacy of these companies that are owned by people?
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So I feel as though it's like, it took sports, professional sports, because that's where we dominate. We can't say, oh, for this company, for Comcast, for example, Comcast, one of the largest, if not the largest cable operator in the United States. We can't just say, you know what, Comcast, listen to us. You know what I mean? It had to take something to where America had their eyes on in order for us to say, all right, now that we have your attention, and then we go forth with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole, we're going outside the NFL, brother. Sorry.
No, you good.
Naomi Osaka.
Queen, true queen right there.
Grew up in Japan. But guess what? Only 22 years of age. But guess what? She still has the intellect and the awareness to know, hey, I'm on a platform. I have these folks' attention. During the whole tournament, a new name. We know these names. Outside of the US, these people don't know these names.
Mm-hmm.
So they were saying that the Google searches were going up after each match because people didn't know who these people were. The family thanked her, but it's just like the awareness that this is the only type of forum where they are forced to see us, because most of the time, the people who don't like us, they're not looking for us. But fortunately for us, we're dominant in sports. And so when we are in front of their eyes, that is the opportunity to take it. So when people want to tell us to shut up and play ball and all of that, nah, those days is over. We're not just here for your entertainment. We're here also to educate our people.
Mm-hmm.
And even outside of our people, we're here to educate and say, hey, look at what's going on. It ain't right. And if anybody has a soul and a heart, then you can look at that and say, you know what? It's not right. So it no longer is going to take us sitting down, getting the shit beat out of us in sit downs like we did back in the 60s, or having police beat the shit out of, well, they still doing it. Firemen hosing us down, police sending their dogs, sicking their dogs on us. We're beyond that. So now, guess what? You ain't gonna put a hand on me and I'll have your attention, and the world can see how you're doing me wrong. So that's how we're gonna go about it now. And like I said, like you said, that's the right word for her, Queen Naomi Osaka. Like she impresses me. She's very impressive. Mm-hmm. She's dominant in her career sport. And just for the mere fact, like she said, I just want to get people to talking about this.
Mm-hmm. And that's what she's very poised for her age.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Indeed.
very poised, and like you said, she's very aware, and she realizes the power that she possesses and the platform that she has, and she's not afraid to use it.
Yeah, somebody like her. Most 22-year-olds would just be satisfied with, as we can see in the sports over here, satisfied, hey, I made it, I'm making money, life is good.
Mm-hmm.
All that other stuff, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to mess this up. That's not even on her mind. That's not on her mind.
Selfless, man. Need more of that selflessness.
Yep.
It's deep, man. We talked enough about Cap. I ain't gonna ask no more questions about him, but all right. Besides not tuning into the NFL, what other ways can we boycott them that will hit them in the pocket?
Are we still talking about the NFL, or are you talking about outside? I didn't understand the question, bro.
I mean, besides not watching the games, what other ways could we hit the NFL in their pockets?
Okay, so yeah, merchandise. People say merch. You don't buy any of it. Even if you want to get a Kaepernick jersey, I think you can go to his site and get some of his Know Your Rights campaign. If you want to support him, don't necessarily.
He got a bunch of gear.
Mm-hmm. Don't go, to the NFL website, because that's money. Even if it's his name, it's the licenses. You're giving the NFL money.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can make yours, go get a spray paint or whatever the case may be. Like I said, the NFL, anything with an NFL license on it, whether it be a hat, a jersey, Madden, whoever their sponsors are.
That's big.
You know what I'm saying? Bud Light. I mean, what's that? Bush, Anheuser, what is it? Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. So, that's exactly where you can not look. Don't look in those directions.
Papa John's.
Oh, to hell with Papa John. Shaq done took that over. To hell with him too.
Yeah,
Shaq
yeah, he just do everything for the dollar, yo. He a big ass prostitute.
It's a big ass prostitute, but yeah, him and Sir Charles. Shout out to Kenny Smith.
Yeah, Kenny Smith, a real one.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's the best way that we can boycott the NFL. Is we don't affiliate with any of their sponsors. I'm sure that's a big ass list. I can't even sit up here and say I know all their sponsors. But stay away from their sponsors. Don't buy any NFL apparel, especially when it's got the little NFL logo trademark mess, because that means they're going to generate money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess if, you know what, I'll compromise. For those who can't do without the NFL, at least don't buy from their sponsors, at the very least. When it's a commercial, turn it. That's where they're making their money. If you want to watch it, go get a Fire Stick. Don't give them that ratings.
Exactly. If you so desperate like that you need that hit, like you a drug addict, Get the bootleg. Get some fentanyl or something. You know what I'm saying? Don't watch it on network TV. Get a Fire Stick, boost it.
Yep. I mean, there's many ways to hit them in their pockets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you go down to the stadiums and buy it. Actually, you know, they could buy it off the people selling outside the stadiums. If they want to get it, because all that mess bootleg.
Yeah. Facts.
So, those are some ways for the NFL junkies, we're going to call you. NFL junkies. Those are your ways, your workarounds for now, until you truly wake up. Talking to you.
So let's switch gears to Kanye. Do you think his latest antics are another cry for help, or is he valid with his point of view?
I believe he's a narcissist, and I believe it's past him caring about us. I know he's saying he wants to be Moses. He wants to be called Moses now, because apparently he's leading us to freedom in a biblical sense. And I feel as though Kanye don't do anything unless it benefits Kanye. But what I find ironic is Kanye has reached this status of billionaire, which has been his lifelong dream, because he's definitely a person that's concerned with materialism, and he's a billionaire now. Mission accomplished, right, Kanye? But he's just as miserable as ever. So he's a person that can't do without having. He's an attention whore, and I feel as though, yeah, he's saying a couple things here and there, but guess what? It's been done before. Michael Jackson's done it. Prince has done it. So
and they did it
better. You
better.
can't reinvent the wheel. And they did it better. They didn't need social media and Twitter and all that. So I feel as though Kanye is just it's just another you can't even say it's help, because he already said that his mental illness is his superpower. And he still hasn't come to terms with it. So I feel as though it's like the less attention you give somebody like that, the better they'll be off at the end of the day. Because when you feed into it, you're empowering him, and he's just gonna go do something drastic. We've all seen this play out before, and we know it's not gonna end well. Unfortunately, we've seen this before. So that's my take.
Nah, but yeah, I definitely agree with you, man. Like he say a lot of stuff, man, but like you said, he's a narcissist, so you know it's all about him. It's always all about him. Like he just right now he panders. It was a time where he didn't pander. Like he didn't care. Like he would put out albums and he wouldn't do press releases or listening parties or anything like that, because he just didn't care. But now it's like he cares about everything, and he's trying to like play to whatever is the trend at the time. Like before, it was Trump, and he was playing the Trump. This is my father right here. And now, since that train kind of left the station, now he's trying to play to the Black Lives Matter thing, even though he said slavery was a choice, and that Harriet Tubman was just leading the slaves to another white owner. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Everything seemed like a stunt. Him putting his Grammy in the toilet and supposedly peeing on it seems like a stunt. Like everything is about him. He could say that, oh, I want to look at everybody's contract. You don't want to look at everybody's contract. You just want your masters. That's all you're interested in.
Thank you, because that's what it's about. You're not concerned about everybody else, because as far as we know, good people. That record label he had, how many people still on that? He was screwing people over on that label. So you can't sit up here and say, hey, I'm trying to look out for this person and that person. Designer probably had one of the biggest songs on that label at one time. And now where's Designer? Designer straight up said he wasn't trying to focus on me. He wanted to focus on himself. The designer, I think, was 19 years old, so I can't even say, oh, he's this or that. No, you can say he's a one-hit wonder or whatever the case is, but he did a lot. At 19, one of the biggest songs, whatever year that was, 2017, I think. So then he actually signed Nigerian artist D'banj. D'banj was one of the biggest African artists. He did nothing with him. So it's like he's had opportunity to save his people, as he likes to put it, but the quality of music sucks. I don't. His music used to be insightful. It used to have a message. Now it's just he did a song with Lil Pump. If you even hear like the hook on it, it's like his first like 6 bars from him on it. You're like, really? This is it? So, like I said, he's a narcissist, and he's focused on everything but music. Honestly, like, why is he concerned about music? He says he wants to be a fashion designer, right?
And he's horrible at that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it don't look like anything I would wear.
No, but
if anything,
you know, it's crazy. People buy it though. People buy it just because, and it's like some people are just slaves to whatever is considered hot at the time. But I'm like, if you look at his shoes or his clothes, it honestly look like something from a dystopian future. Like,
I don't think so.
It looks like something disastrous. Like it looks like
exactly what word you use, slave. It looked like stuff slaves wore back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oversized, hang off. The shoes look like they're falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's slave attire.
Yeah.
He keeps talking about, oh, we're gonna be off the plantation. You're giving people plantation clothes.
Exactly.
But selling them astronomically, like $300 for a T-shirt. A Hanes T-shirt.
That's tattered. It's like holes and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yo, where did you get this? Like, you literally bought shirts, right? Then he was just like, all right, you rip it right there. All right, rip it right there. All right, $350.
So it's like this guy is not his goal in life has always been he's a person driven by money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying money is necessarily a bad thing to have, but if that's all your horse blinders allow you to see, you're not doing anything. Because if he really wanted to help his people, he wouldn't be going to bat for Trump. Mm-hmm. He would be putting money into communities. You're a billionaire. You're talking about people need to. First of all, historically speaking, look at where this man bought. He has a ranch. Mm-hmm. A ranch. I don't know what a ranch is, but I'm guessing just based off of the cowboy movies and shit. It's just open field with some gates up and for animals to graze. But it's in one of the most white populated states.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Why couldn't he do what Tyler Perry did? Tyler Perry's right there in Douglasville, right outside of Atlanta, where he's making it. This Atlanta, they call it Black Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
Kanye from Chicago. You know how much help his money could make there? How much of a difference his money could make there?
Yeah.
If he's so interested in helping his people. He's all talk. His wife does more than him.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a fan of her.
Yeah, she definitely is putting in more work than him.
So yeah, man, don't get me started on Kanye. Anytime I see him, I'm just disappointed. I mean, he's always been loud and had a big mouth, and but like I said, even the quality within his music isn't his focus anymore. Mm-hmm. It's just attention. What was it? 2 years ago, all his albums that he produced only had 7 songs anyway. Talking about 7. You're lazy. You're a lazy producer. Yeah. That's what it is. You're not focused. Each album, his, Kid Cudi, Tiana Taylor, was it Pusha T? That whole summer, all this new music come out, 7 songs. Even Nas' album, he produced 7 songs.
I was about to ask, was that that Nas album produced by him?
Mm-hmm.
Because it seemed weird. I was like, why is there only 7 songs on it? Like it's a like an EP.
Yep, that's what he said. The number 7. First of all, man, I don't like to come at people's religious beliefs in a sense of how genuine they are to it. But this guy made Jesus Walk back in, what was it, like 05, 06? And then he come out with this Christian album the other day, or last year. When I say the other day, I meant last year. And said, oh, I'm a Christian now. I wasn't before, but I am now.
So what was you before when you wrote
this?
That?
What I don't understand.
Oh my God, yeah.
He's confused. So now he says, okay, I'm making just Christian music now. He was supposed to drop that second album. It never came out because I guess he didn't have enough controversy stirred up in the air. These are old tactics people used to do back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how rappers would go out and get arrested prior to, you know, dropping an album. But he's still using those tactics because, like they say, the music will sell itself. Bottom line. And like I said, he's focused on everything but music. And I don't even think, what do they call that? A jack of all trades, master of none. He used to be a master producer, but his attention is all over now.
Yeah. It shows he's scatterbrained.
Yep.
He'd be all over the place with his, like, he used to be loud and boisterous, but it was with a purpose before. Now he's just loud and boisterous and he doesn't really say much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we had a conversation about this. Whenever he speaks about these designers, he always mentions Italian people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Yep.
why is that your influence or inspiration? I never hear him speak on anybody of African descent. Like,
Never.
and I'm like, you trying to live up to these expectations that you're probably never going to get to. So it's like you setting yourself up for failure. First of all, you don't have the same privilege as these people that you're speaking of. So that's not going to do it. And then your attitude and how you speak on stuff not going to get you there either. So it's like he gotta figure out his lane. Well, he figured out his lane before, but he needs to get back there.
Yeah, he's making a mockery of himself. And I just feel as though he's a father now, yo. He has someone dependent upon him. And for him to put himself in a position as if this was 10 years ago, to where he runs up on stage and says whatever, it's not a good look for his kids because no one's going to take them serious. I mean, I think that's something that his wife is going to evaluate. And she's going to say, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Because she most certainly don't need him. You know what I mean? Financially, she don't need him. She got her own. And I think, I can't believe I'm saying it. I think mentally she's more there than him. I mean, she's a narcissistic being as well.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it seems like she's using what knowledge she has to get people out of bad jams. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I think it seems, I don't know, but it seems like since children have come into the picture and since she's been on this crusade, seems like she's toned down a lot and matured. Where like he's kind of like went the opposite way. He devolved.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, he's erratic. Yeah, she's approaching 40 if she's not 40 yet. And I know he's like in his mid 40s, like 44 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just, like I said, this ain't 10 years ago, Kanye. I mean, one excuse, I wouldn't call it an excuse, but one reason, you know, people would always let him slide is because they said, oh, he's dealing with the passing of his mother. But that's been, I think, 11 years now. And I understand that people grieve differently, but it's also not a pass to just make those asinine comments. If you want to make a comment, make one that's going to just that deals directly with you, not with people that look like you. And then you want to sit up there and belittle the efforts our ancestors made to put us in a better place, to even put you in a place to where you can become a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who are you to speak on Harriet Tubman? Who are you? Because you make music people want to dance to? That makes you more valuable than her? No, you got it twisted.
Yeah,
you got it twisted.
Yeah, he definitely does. Like, I don't know. I knew he was falling off when he started calling himself Yeezus.
I went to that concert too, the Yeezus tour. He literally wore like a ski mask, a diamond ski mask, the whole show. Yeah, and that was in 2013, and that was when I said, "This man off his rocker, yo," because he would go on a rant, and that's when he started doing all that attention stuff. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that somebody recorded it, and he was like up on like a scaffold or something, and he was talking, and he had that mask on, and I was wondering, I didn't know that he had the mask on the whole show, but it makes sense. It makes sense. And they were saying like every show he was having like these long rants that would just like go on, and it started becoming like nonsensical. Like it would start off where he was talking about something, and then it would just
you lose him.
Yeah.
And then that's where I think he had the New Slaves on that album. That was one of the songs. But what gets me is how it's normally the people who don't know no better. His followers are like Trump followers, bottom line. How Trump says he likes the uneducated, the uneducated believe that he's a genius. Because, like I said, I always had an issue when people call Kanye a genius. A genius in what context? You mean musically? Or do they mean in general? Because I don't see it there. Musically, at one point, you can say he was a musical genius. A lot of people have him as like a top 5 producer. I guess it's taste. I don't see it. I mean, he made nice music, but I didn't have him up there as one of the greats. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of these new cats, he's influenced. A lot of them will say it was that Heartbreaks and 808 album, which I did not like. So maybe that's why I can't vibe with their music now, because they say that was their inspiration. So Kanye, he did go astray, because if you look at his first couple albums, the features on there like Common, Most Def, Talib Kweli, Freeway, it was crazy. Yeah. These were spitters on there, man.
Definitely.
And now, like I said, Lil Pump, I don't even know. I don't know no more.
Yeah, but it's a bunch of mumble crap, and nobody that's a real spitter.
No doubt.
Yeah. I think the narcissist in them can't allow somebody on a record that raps better than him.
That's true. That's true. Me personally, I enjoyed the last Kanye album I enjoyed was Watch the Throne, but that was a collab with Jay.
Oh, okay.
And then if I had to choose between Jay's last collab album with what's the homie's name out of New Orleans, Jay Electronica. I like that album. Like, when I listened to the album, I was learning something.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that's when you checked out, but Jay Electronica, he's talented. I mean, we're going in a different direction. He's talented, but I just don't think he's his ambition, I think, is left. But he was spitting a lot of knowledge on there. Spitting a lot of knowledge, but yeah, it took Jay-Z to carry Kanye for me to actually say, okay, this is the last Kanye effort I liked.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
At this time, he ain't really spitting anything. And like I said, I think all of this is just a plea for attention. But like they say, money don't change people. It just brings out their true self.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going on with him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's funny because I actually like that Heartbreak. I mean, the 808s and Heartbreaks album. I didn't like the whole thing, but there were certain songs on there that I could relate to at the time. So
Okay.
because I could relate to it at the time, I vibe to it. But when I tried to listen to it last year, I couldn't stand it. So I couldn't listen to it because I'm in a different place now. But when it first came out, like it was like, yo, I needed this. And I listened to it, but then when I'm listening to it like now, I'm like, yo, this is trash.
Yep. Yeah. I just can't vibe. It had the song, yeah, like I said, maybe 3 or 4 songs off the album I messed with. But yeah, other than that,
Yeah. It was like all that auto tune and
that's when he came out with that Fro Hawk. He was going through it during that time, man.
yeah, he was wearing them glasses with like the blind, look like blinds.
No, that was the graduation. That was graduation.
Oh, okay,
Kanye.
yeah. That was before 808s, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, because graduation, he was still all right.
Mm-hmm. He was still sane.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. When you listen to College Dropout now, man, you be like, yo, what happened? That
He
was
made
a dope album, man.
College Dropout, even Late Registration too.
Yeah. Late
Yeah, it's like he
Registration.
gave us that trilogy. Graduation, I was like, but College Dropout and Late Registration, most definitely. You just like, okay, this guy, he gonna go somewhere, but this isn't where I thought he would lead to.
That when he put that My Dark Twisted Fantasy out,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I tried to like it, and I listened to it, I'm like, this is different. Like, it wasn't different in a good way either.
Yeah, Black, Flashing Lights, Monster. I think that's the only thing I can even recall from that album.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's it.
mm-hmm.
Man, how the mighty have fallen.
It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. And just imagine, what if he weren't the college dropout?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know.
What if he read?
Yeah.
Would he be making these statements? Would his music have a deep message? The college dropout and the late registration was the teachings of his mother. That was info of him growing up in a house with an African American studies professor.
Mm-hmm.
Once he had money to leave that house and these designers came in, this is the outcome.
Exactly. It's crazy, man. Let's move on past the Kanye syndrome.
Yeah.
All right, so the final question is what message do you have for the skin folk that refuse to stand for anything? And also, what message do you have for those who stand strong for our people?
Well, for the ones that are doing what they need to do, I salute you, and I say keep up the good work. It ain't easy. You always got to keep reminding people that guess what? Even if we have a victory today, there's still tomorrow. We got to go out there and earn another one. So we gotta keep educating ourselves, keep fighting the good fight, and just making sure that we there and support one another. We have our businesses. We got to support one another in our businesses. Financial freedom is key. That's most important. I'd rather put all my energy into those who are doing the right thing and are trying to make amends. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Candace Owens and Kanye West, I don't have time for them. Why bother putting my energy into that direction? Can't save everyone. You know what I mean? And I think that's something we all need to come to terms with. It's like you can't save everybody. Meaning that those who want to remain ignorant, because it's a choice. There's a difference between being ignorant and then remaining ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
I can be ignorant today. Someone can enlighten me on something, and I change. But someone tells me something, and I remain ignorant, then so be it. Let them remain ignorant on their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I feel. I feel as though, that strive. We on to the next one. That's how we do. Hey, this is A, B, and C. Boom, boom, boom. You see how this is done? All right, you get it. Come on. Go spread the word. That's the only way. Because other than that, you're going to be wasting your time looking in this direction to the point where 10 people done passed you now. And you probably could have gotten through to at least 4 of those people. Why you here wasting time on one? You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's why I say keep doing what you're doing. It ain't easy. We see that even viewership.
Mm-hmm.
Our last show, which I think was one of our most in-depth topics, with the Black infant mortality rate. I think that was a deep discussion. I think we brought a lot of stats there, but that probably did the poorest in views of all of our shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crazy, man.
Yeah. So I feel as though like, all right, you gotta. It's not easy. You just can't get discouraged. So you just gotta, keep going out there, learning new things. That's the key. You gotta keep learning.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. You just can't say, "Oh, I know this," and just be satisfied with it. You gotta keep learning.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we learn, the more we spread. The more we know, the further we can go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. Yeah, I would say the same, man. I would say, keep struggling because it's a constant struggle, but you gotta keep moving forward because sometimes you find beauty in the struggle.
Mm.
So you gotta, stay steadfast and whatever you standing for. Never give up, no matter how hard it gets, because it gets hard. Because sometimes you get the most resistance from people that look like you.
Indeed.
So you can't let that stop you because like Kay said, can't save everybody. And we can't save everybody based on survival. Because if you try to save everybody and everybody's not with it, you're gonna be bringing in ticking time bombs that's gonna destroy you from within.
Most definitely.
And for those that choose to not stand for anything, my only advice or my only I'm not even gonna say wish, I want you all to make the choice one day to decide to stand for something. That's it. Just, look outside yourself, look at the community. Even if you think that issues aren't directly affecting you, they are. Because we're all going through the same thing. Just because you haven't personally experienced something doesn't mean that you're never going to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that you've been lucky enough that it hasn't impacted you yet. But if you look around our community, you see that it happens. There's some Negro-peans who, you know, they're in denial that stuff like this even happens, police brutality and other things that we talked about. For those people, there's probably no waking them up at all. And that's okay. You just make sure you stay over there, and when they're done with you, you just ride solo, because you ain't welcome over here. That's just not gonna happen. Like, if you got a glimmer of hope that you want to wake up, you want to learn something, you want to stand for something, come on over to this side. But if you bring nothing to the table, you're not welcome at the table, and you damn sure ain't gonna get no chair.
Yep.
So
definitely.
Yeah. So on that note, thank y'all for joining us for another episode of the Liberated Mind Show. Until next week, that's K. I'm Jay. Peace.
Peace.
This generation under so much pressure, held to a standard impossible to measure. Without guidance, they suffer. No father in sight, no love from their mother. Not the pen for the one in the mirror. Self-image distorted, can't get no clearer. Damn, lost souls devoured by the streets. Ain't no fairy tales on yellow bricks. By their feet, only crack vials and shell casings. Looking for hope, but they still waiting. And I implore you to never give up. And like Pac said, keep your head up, and when your back's up against the wall, keep your boots to the ground and stand tall. Hold on and be strong.